Tomorrow marks 1 year since America's chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. When troops left, it was marked by 2 weeks of chaos. The fall of Kabul to the Taliban shocked the world. U.S. officials expected the capital city to fall maybe within 6 to 12 months after the withdrawal, leaving many stunned, though, when it fell in just hours. Afghans fled to the airport in droves. Thousands left behind loved ones. Desperation forcing some people to hang onto the wings of airplanes as they took off. A suicide bombing killed nearly 200 people, including 13 U.S. service members. The horror and bloodshed closed a chapter in America's longest war. And joining us to discuss and assess where we are now is retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton. So great to see you. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Well, good evening, Natasha.
So, General, before President Biden was in office, former President Trump already started the process of full withdrawal from Afghanistan, and chaos certainly took over that country. In your eyes, what did the government get wrong, and what did they get right?
Well, first off, what we got right was, again, sending our forces against, again, the haven of the Al-Qaeda terrorists who murdered, 3,000 Americans on September 11th in 2001, over 21 years or so ago. And I think we're justified, and we're also justified in our actions there in Afghanistan. But through those 21 years, and especially as you mentioned, leading up to under the previous administration, the Trump administration had brokered a, quote, peace deal with the Taliban that really was in my view, again, one of the most ineffective peace deals and negotiations we've ever had, which led to a debacle of the withdrawal under the Biden administration, this time last year. And so there's lots of blame to go around, but nonetheless, this is how things really started. The policymakers leading that peace deal with the Taliban that set up for the failure of our withdrawal. And so here we are right now with 40 million Afghan citizens facing decades of now repression ahead of them, and certainly, again, a terrible state of affairs for them with regard to poverty, with regard to hunger. And now Afghanistan still remains a haven for Islamic extremism who want to do us harm.
This war lasted 5 American presidents. I mean, you were speaking of its length. Was there ever a perfect time to withdraw American troops there?
I don't know if we could go back in history and really create a period or a timeline when there would be a perfect time. I was serving in the Pentagon when I was serving in the United States Air Force on the air staff, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time was Admiral Mike Mullen, who really, if you quote him or if you go back and research, his thoughts on Afghanistan, Iraq was where we must be effective in Iraq, and in Afghanistan it was more or less, what is it that we can do? So if you follow my nuance of terms there. And so a priority for us was really back in those days was Iraq and then Afghanistan and so forth. But I don't know if there was really a period of time when we could have had an effective exit strategy, because where we failed, and I'm now quoting my colleague and friend David Petraeus, there were 3 primary areas. One is we lost the American people, the American, our national strategic leaders lost patience. We didn't have the commitment. Secondly, we really had inadequate resources being both for military, our civilian, capabilities we had, as well as the financial aspect of this. And the third part is we really didn't understand the country, really didn't understand the region. A case in point, we allowed for Pakistan to be a safe haven, for a sanctuary, if you will, for those who wanted to continue to do harm for us. And so it's a very difficult question to answer, but it's a very difficult scenario to try to figure out, where we could have had an off-ramp effectively or not. I don't know if that one really existed. But again, we didn't have the American resolve. We didn't have the adequate resources. And third, we really didn't understand the country and the region.
I appreciate the nuance you're bringing to this conversation, because it certainly is so complex. I do want to ask, this month, U.S. drone strikes did kill Al-Qaeda's top leader in Afghanistan, one of the key plotters of the 9/11 attacks, hidden by the Taliban for all of these years. What does that mean for the relationship between the U.S. government and the Taliban? You did mention there was a peace agreement between the two of them, correct?
There was a peace agreement, but again, the Taliban, as we would expect, really are not, holding up their end of the bargain at all. The fact that al-Zawahiri, as you refer to it here, as we're seeing on our camera right now, is he was killed a couple weeks ago in a U.S. drone strike, principally led by the U.S. intelligence community. But the fact that he was allowed to even be there in the first place gives you some insight in terms of either the Taliban allowing that to happen, or the Taliban really maybe perhaps just not being able to effectively enough to keep him from even being there in the first place. There's about 400 al-Qaeda members in Afghanistan, at least that's what my numbers tell me. There's a little bit over, there's several thousand ISIS. But nonetheless, the Taliban are ineffective in being able to govern their own country, much less be able to prevent or dissuade, terrorists such as al-Qaeda and ISIS and so forth to continue to be a haven there. And so we have a very poor lack of communications, if not almost a zero relationship with the Taliban. And we would expect that. And so the real issue here is that the 40 million Afghan citizens, the hundreds of thousands of those citizens who supported us for all these years in our conduct of operations in Afghanistan, are today in harm's way. They are going to be repressed for decades. We'll still have Islamic terrorism, as I said earlier in my comments. And that does not bode well for the United States. And let me close on this point, Natasha. One is the fact that the United States, this debacle of withdrawal this time last year, has led to, really has hurt the American credibility. Will we stand behind our commitments? Will we stand behind our partners and allies? And second point is are we becoming, are we starting to fail as the great power? Fast forward to back in February of this year, you've got Putin and Russia invading Ukraine. You've got China, again, rallying its sabers with regard to Taiwan and so forth. So none of this action that we went through with Afghanistan is trivial, not only for the Afghan people, but for the geopolitical landscape and the role of the United States as a sole superpower.
Lieutenant General Newton, this has been a sobering conversation. Is there any path forward that you can see? Is there anything more that can be done, or that this nation should do for Afghanistan, or can do for Afghanistan? And for all of our relationships going forward, you mentioned there is such an impact on the United States, on the world stage. Is there anywhere our attention really needs to be focused now?
Well, let's first focus very briefly on Afghanistan. Afghanistan is really no longer, at the top of the hour in discussions or above the fold of the newspaper. Unfortunately, it has become what I would call, and this is very sobering, a lost cause. But we still should remain committed to those hundreds of thousands of Afghans who supported the United States all those years, again, and what successes we were able to come by and so forth. We should not leave them behind. Secondly, though, to your point from a global standpoint, the fact that we are now, I believe, the Biden administration is effectively using U.S. forces or U.S. Support. There are no U.S. forces in Ukraine, but again, the billions of dollars of aid that we're providing for Ukraine and President Zelensky, in my view, they must win. We cannot let Russia then walk on in, the largest land invasion since World War II. We cannot let them succeed. And so the United States has to stand tall here. Again, based on not only what happened in Afghanistan this time last year, but really as we look forward for the next several years. Is the United States going to lead as a superpower? Are we going to stand for freedom? And are we going to stand by the commitment we've had to our friends and allies? Or are we going to walk away from that? I say we're going to stand and we're going to remain steadfast, and we are going to be the most capable superpower in the world for years to come. That's my hope, and that should also be our strategy.
Yeah, your point is well taken. Lieutenant General Newton, I sincerely appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.